This is a tutorial on what I call 50 feet of fun. And the reason I call it 50 feet of fun was because when I first bought this, that was the toy I bought, right? It was sold at Toys R Us, I think. It was a toy. But I bought it in the clearance rack. And later I found one other one. This was years ago. And they've stopped making it. They don't make it anymore. So, I don't know, a few years ago, I decided I needed it. I wanted it to have something to do up on the stilts that was really visual. I used to use this as Ronald McDonald in parades. It's big. It plays big. But now I use it as part of my Game Master thing, where I'll do this, and then I'll pass out little ones for all the little kids to play with. This is how to make one. It's how to make your own 50 feet of fun. And it's not that hard. It's pretty easy. What I start with is I start with the little ones you buy for kids. They're dance ribbons, and you want to get the 12-foot long ones, not the 6-foot long ones. You want to get the longer ones for the older kids. And the only reason for that is, I mean, you could buy the 6-foot ones, but you just have to glue them more together to make it work. But what I do is I take those ribbons, and I'm showing you here in the pictures, and I will cut them and then glue them together. Okay, I tried sewing them, but the problem is this is it's called ripstop fabric, right? It's a type of fabric that it's plastic, and if you sew it, you can sew it with the sewing machine, and that works fine. I don't own a sewing machine. So what I did was I took the end, let me show you here. The ends of these ribbon have a little grommet on it, right? And what I did was I took that grommet and I just cut it off. And then what I would do is I would glue, well, first I would take a candle and you melt the cutted end. So you want to melt it together to seal it. And then you can either sew it to another one or glue it together. So what I did was I glued this one to the next color. Okay? I just laid them flat on top of each other and just glued them together. Now, I don't have a sewing machine. I would probably want to sew these. But this has worked for me absolutely fine. No problem. And all of a sudden, instead of 12 feet, I have 24 feet. And all of a sudden, instead of 24 feet, I do a third one, and I have 36 feet. So even the 50 feet of fun, though they called it 50 feet of fun, was not 50 feet long. 50 feet long is too long. 36 inches is pretty far. I mean, 36 feet is pretty far. So I'm actually going to take this into the backyard and show you how it works, okay? But all you need to do is glue 3 of those ribbons together or sew 3 of those ribbons together. And the top one, the one you use at the top end of it, you don't cut the link off, right? What you do instead is you leave that on and you get yourself a fishing pole. So what this is it's a fishing pole that I bought off of Amazon. And what it does is it expands, okay? So I put a piece of Velcro. What I did was I put a piece of Velcro around, and then I took the fuzzy piece of Velcro and I put it across the top. And the reason I did that is because what happens is this expands. All right, I'm going to try to show you here. This becomes a fishing pole, right? It gets longer. It expands out 4 or 5 or maybe only 3 or 4 lengths, all right? But the reason I put the Velcro on the end of it was because, 3 or 4 lengths, because it would come out when I was traveling. And, you know, I didn't want that. I didn't want it to be, I'm picking it up and walking around with it. So I just put the little piece of Velcro off the top. Any way you want to cap it off is fine. But that's what I use. I just use a piece of Velcro. Now, since this is a fishing pole, it has the fishing eyelet or whatever this is called already built on, right? Now, even if it doesn't, then the ribbons that you buy to use this for will have this already put on there, and you can just connect it. Actually, now that I think about it, I did take an extra piece of like a keychain, kind of a circle to connect it. But anyway, you want to connect it, and now you've got this here. And what you do is you just open this fish hook thing and connect it to your ribbon. All right. So in very little time, very short order, you've got a pole that expands so it packs small, and you've got a 36-foot ribbon. All right. So I'm going to take this into the backyard to show you what happens with it, but I just want to show you one more thing before I take it out. So when I first started using these, I would take this ribbon, and every time I would roll it up. I would roll it up to protect it. And then I'd put a rubber band around it. And then when I went to use it, it was all ready to go. Since then, I'm using a old-fashioned oatmeal thing. Put the top on it, stick it in my car, and I carry it like that. Because all I have to do is feed this in one end so that the opposite end starts way down bottom. And I feed it all the way so that the one on top is the hook. And now I can carry this with me wherever I go, and I don't have to, it's just protected, right? It doesn't get wrapped up into things. So let's go in the backyard, and I'll show you what happens with it, because it's a pretty fun toy. All right, so I took this into my backyard, and I'm not going to use the audio from back there because they were a bunch of noise outside. But I just wanted to show you that I have the pole. I connected to the ribbon. And you see how it's all still pretty self-contained. And, I backed up as far as I could because I wanted to try to let you see it all. But you can see how high the fishing pole expands. Expands all the way up to there. See how the ribbon's already coming out of the little oatmeal container? And there you go. That's 36 feet of fun. That other video I had was only 24 feet. But this is 36 feet, and you can see how big it is. Now notice how I stepped forward there? I stepped forward because I kept hitting the trees behind me. I was afraid that I wasn't going to have enough room to show this to you because it's that big. And sometimes you get caught up in the ribbon. You have to learn how to work your way out of that or untie knots. But it's really amazingly huge in terms of something fun to do. Talk about something that packs small and plays big, right? So that's all I need to show you. You notice how the pole goes right back down into itself. You do want to make sure not to pull that out really hard. You want to kind of pull it out gentle, because if you do pull it out too hard, sometimes it does get stuck all the way out. And I did this part on time-lapse photography. First time I tried to do that. The reason I did that was just because, it takes a little time, but literally less than a minute, maybe less than 2 minutes. And all of a sudden you went from something that small to something that big to being ready to walk away and head home with. That's a pretty good tool. All right, so easy, right? Buy yourself a set of dance ribbons that are 12 feet long. Cut the ends off of the ones you're not going to use. Heat it with a candle. Glue them together or tape them together. When I say glue, I use super glue. Super glue, you just have to make sure not to let it glue to anything on your table. You want to make sure, to glue it carefully. Sew it together, glue it together. Get yourself a fishing pole that expands. I'll have a link to Amazon to the one I used. And all of a sudden you'll have this toy. Okay, so this is just another tool for you, right? I'm just trying to throw as many tools as I can out there because I've been doing all of this for years. And again, this plays big. This is a basketball, if you're working the halftime in a basketball stadium. This is a parade where you're driving down, walking down the middle of the road. This is up on stilts, right? So this plays really big. But then also I use it for my Game Master. When I go out and do Game Master stuff, I'll take this. That way it plays really big. It has a really nice thing, and then you let the kids play, and it's a pretty fun bit. Click on my coaching link if you'd like me to help you with helping to make your business successful. Check out all my other videos. Have a great day and spread that joy, right? Have fun. Spread joy. 50 feet of fun right here.